good evening, race fans, and welcome along to round number 2 of the QRT GT3 Championship, season number 3. After 2 incredibly successful opening seasons and quite the spicy opening round at Monza, you're joining myself, John Wright, and the legendary George Cook for round number 2 at Paul Ricard. Still got Zolder, Zandvoort, Misano and Spa on the calendar, but it is the slipstream nirvana that is that long straight on Paul Ricard in France we will be focusing on this week. It'll be a 1 hour race with a mandatory pit stop, and it will be myself, John Wright, taking you through all of the action, with the aforementioned wonder from down under gets up with the Sparrows to put up with my nonsense in the commentary box, but he doesn't half love the racing here at QRT. Good morning, Mr. Cook. How are we today?
Yeah, good evening, John. Thank you for the legendary introduction, as always. Doing well, thank you very much. And it is a pleasure to be back in the commentary box once again by your side for QRT Season 3. And I'm gutted to have missed round 1, of course, but now able to join you back here in the commentary box. And what a place. You said the nirvana of Slipstream, and I call it the Slip City, often referred to as a car parking lot, but it's 5.7 kilometers of what I think is produces the best racing that you get in calendars like this. Paul Ricard, nice wide open spaces, 13 corners, that huge Mistral straight. It's currently night time, it's qualifying. I love these conditions, they're changeable at the moment, greasy out on track, and we're going to be going, as you said, for 60 minutes to see who's going to come out on top in round 2.
Indeed we are. It was Monza last week, 44-degree track temperature at some points the drivers had to contend with. So yeah, I'm sure they were fully grateful of the mandatory tyre change required. In the Pro-Am split, it was Dogat's Array who took the top spot, with Stuart Robinson in second and DeWald Leroux starting off his Season 3 campaign on the podium. In the Pro Split, it was Damien Konzig, who is currently in pole position for the eagle-eyed viewers amongst us. It's Adrian Hanowitz in second place, and Amir Kashiktaras finished in third. The bonus points, Maxim Gulubov posting the fastest lap in the Pro-Am split, did feature on the podium, so some valuable points there. And Damien Konzig, doing it not too bad, taking the Pro fastest lap as well, and currently on pole position with a non-too-shabby 156.5, considering the track itself is actually greasy. It was something that George and I mentioned just before we started. The conditions you get in QRT races, it's not always just the racing, George. The conditions, as much as the drivers may not be huge fans, it certainly lends to some great racing, and the qualifying here is really keeping the drivers on their toes with, as I say, greasy conditions. So yeah, tricky opener, but you've got to love the variety that we see here at the QRT races. It's never just as straightforward as a 1 hour race with a mandatory stop. No, there's going to be something in there to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, it's important, and it keeps everyone just, aware of the changing conditions, and that's what I really like to see, is when we get changing conditions. That means the last lap you do in qualifying is actually the most important. You want to get that banker in, you want to get yourself all warmed up, but if you're not finishing across the line in under the last 30 seconds, you're going to miss out on, in some cases, certainly today, the best conditions in qualifying, and it will be that case. 30 degrees Celsius out there, ambient and track. That means that there will be potentially better conditions coming up in the next 3 minutes. We've only got 3 minutes left on the clock for qualifying, of course, but at 11 p.m. it is a tricky qualifying session to be going through, and the drivers just got to be aware. This is the great thing about the GT3 class season, is that we get these changing conditions, we get these interesting combinations of times. The race is going to be the next day at 1 p.m. So the drivers are going to be kept guessing the entire time. It's about how well you adjust and adapt And that is going to be key today, really, really will be. We've got, of course, a few new wildcard entries this time. Last time out, we only had a couple. It was Brogan Dyer, of course, and Daryl Young, both in the Ford Mustang GT3. We've got a few additional wildcard entries coming up today. We've got Scott on debut, and we've got Golubov and Doviker as well. So a couple new wildcard entries coming in to shake up the grid, see what they can do today.
Indeed, yeah, actually, I believe that Zach Scott did race last week. Didn't get on there. I don't think he finished the race, but yeah, so he's a wild card because he can't make the full season. I think he can only make the first 3 races. But I do think Scott did actually race last week as well, but I don't think he quite made it to the end. He's Aston Martin spent a fair bit of time off the track. But yeah, Brogan Dyer listed as a wild card. Yeah, it's a fairly high standard for the wild cards. He's not got a time in at the moment, actually, in the Mustang. I'm not sure what's going on there, but at the moment it's Amir Kashikhtarash who's just taken it by 3/10. So as George just alluded to, the laps will get slightly quicker, and the track has just gone green, George. It's on. Konzig's just gone 7/10 quicker.
Wow, well, that's the person that we expect to be right up there. That is a significant gap as well, 55.4. And this is exactly it. It goes green, the track is hot, so the tyres are getting further and further into the window that you want them to be in. That means your comfort level. Every time you go around this track now, in this stage of qualifying, you're going to feel more comfortable. It's going to feel to the drivers like they're going to have infinite grip. They're getting 20-30% extra grip every single time they go around the circuit. So we've got less than a minute now on the clock. For those going across the line in the next 50 seconds, they'll get another lap, and that's the lap you want to be on. It's now fast. The track's just gone fast. There we go, John.
Wow. And Ben Gilroy's just gone fast as well. He's gone within 2/10 of pole position. So Konzig might not be sitting quite so pretty as Scott Ticehurst puts himself within half a second. You know when you've been tangled.
Yep, you certainly do.
And Kashikhtarash, he doesn't feel like getting tangled today. The FRL driver goes back 12 hundredths of a second. Konzig, that is the first squeaky bum moment of the race, and he's not even out on track at the moment. Lucas Ludka leading the way for the Pro-Ams. One name that is definitely new, Mark Soler Camp's taking part in the series for the first time, and he's currently sitting in second in the Pro-Ams ahead of Lolini. Dogachere, last week's winner, still out on track. So too last week's other podium driver in the Pro-Ams, DeWalt LaRue. 23rd place overall, lots of times still to come in. Glenn Choi, Danny McCutcheon inside the top 10, so too Andrew Priadko, who we know is very quick. Adrian Hanowitz, 300ths of a second. Van der Steeg goes 6, McCutcheon 9. Solar Camps goes 8th place. We do have a Pro-Am in the top 10, and it's debutant Mark Soler Camps.
That's a great time there from him. That is a brilliant time. It's all coming together. We did just see Ben Gilroy just beforehand. He was well up on his time, went purple in sector 2 and 3, and then unfortunately reached traffic. So that was going to be a pole lap. That was going to be a 55.2, John. But to have 300ths of a second separating the top 3, very nice to see. But a lot of them are in the pits now.
But yeah, Kashikhtarash has just come onto the back of traffic as well. He was purple on his delta times. He's just lost a lot of time behind a 4-car train. Doesn't go any quicker at the death. Danny McCutcheon was one of those 4 cars. Doesn't improve on his time either. 9/10 separating the top 7. So certainly not as close as we're used to seeing, but this is a very, very, very long track. Christophe Papai jumps himself up to 15th. That gives him a big oomph in the wall. 12th position in the pros. Dogachere is going to start this one in 4th position in the Pro-Ams. So yeah, last week's race winner. Wow, we've got a weird camera there. Yeah, last week's race winner in the Pro-Ams can only start in 4th position by the look of it, but last week's race winner in the Pro, stumble over that a bit more. Race winner in the Pros has taken pole position. So Solar Camps, Ludka and Kalma, the top 3 in the Pro-Ams, with Array, Lalina, Pinella, LaRue down in 7th. Butchie, Ashraf, oh, and the track is wet. It's going to get, it's going to stop raining, and it's going to keep raining. It's massively unprofessional to sound this excited at the driver's expense. My apologies. Ashraf, Marquez, Calamano and Robinson bringing up the rear of the Pro-Am grid. And in the Pros, Konzig with a purple sector and the top spot. Kasikteris, Hanowitz, Gilroy, Ticehurst, Van der Steeg, Priadko and McCutcheon. The front 4 rows of the grid. There at Solar Camps in 9th. Brogan and Webber at 9th and 10th in the Pros, with Glenn Choi, Christophe Papai and Ben Sullivan 13th, 14th and 15th. Sorry, 12th, 13th and 14th in the Pros. Then Luke Sherlock and Yus Loon qualifying much further down the order. And George, these conditions changed, I mean, massively in qualifying. We saw the track greasy and then go green and then fast. We've now got rain. There's going to be less rain, but there's also 41-degree track temperature. Yeah. That is an interesting equation for the drivers to deal with.
Yeah, when you start to factor in where these wet tyres need to exist and the PSI you often need to run in the wet conditions, you might find that some will get this slightly wrong with their tyres, and it's a critical decision because of the nature of the track. You know, we had Monza, and some would compare Paul Ricard to Monza and say, oh, few corners, lots of high-speed zones and straights. Yeah, okay, fair enough, but Paul Ricard has got a lot more corners that are a lot longer. They're sort of medium speed. They're less of those high speed or low speed corners like Monza typically has. And in Monza, you don't need to worry too much about the temperatures. Yeah, it's hot and it's wet. Okay, that's fine. That's no worries. But at Paul Ricard, you are really relying on having the PSIs absolutely spot on in that 30 to 31 range. If you start to go above that, you're going to be in trouble. And this is that runaway effect that we've talked about a lot of times, especially at circuits like this. But 41 degrees track temperature, yeah, you're probably going to be wanting to get the PSIs just that little bit lower than you usually would run in a wet situation. And that is going to run the risk of them being under for a couple of laps, then getting into a window. If you run them too hot, you'll be perfect. You'll be fast off the line. First couple of laps will feel amazing. And then that third lap, you'll suddenly start to regret that decision. And this is what we were saying just before. It's about adapting, right? The practice session we saw just before was in the wet. No doubt this is the reason, because the race is going to be wet as well. And then to have qualifying switch up back into that sort of medium grip situation, and now over here into the race, and it's going to be completely wet. Fantastic. I mean, yeah, you said before, you know, don't want to be the guy that says, oh yeah, love wet racing. Wet racing at Paul Ricard, barring any incidents, of course we don't want to see any incidents, this should create some amazing racing. So we're looking now at the starting grid. Konzik right on pole in the 913 McLaren. Then we've got Casa Tarash on the FRL Ferrari, followed by Hanowitz in the number 38 Ferrari. Team Schumi Skins. I love this livery. It's absolutely beautiful. Got some dragons on there too. Then Gilroy. What could have been for Gilroy? And he started from the pits, so he's not got it right in time. And 4th place in the pro category is in the pits for the beginning of this race. That's not ideal. And then we've got Jan Willem, Van der Steeg in P6. Before him is Scott Ticehurst in the Tango Lamborghini. And then Priadko and McCutcheon, Camps and Brogan. Your top 10. This is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, Gilroy starting in the pits as Solar Camp starts in, well, what we will be 8th position now. There is Declan Brogan ahead of Robert Webber and Lucas Lidka on row number 6. Brogan Dyer in the chart. Last two top 5 challenge he's going for. There is Kalma. He's going to need to keep it Kalma considering the position he's in. It's almost smack in the middle of the field. And then he's got Glenn Choi, Christophe Papai and Ben Sullivan in the pros directly behind him. Last week's Pro-Am race winner, Dogat Ray, starting 16th overall as Ben Gilroy tumbles down the order. Oh, heartbreaking to see on the warm-up lap. It's then Lalini ahead of Luke Sherlock, Just Loon and Nick Brunschnicks in 20th position, and Chris Bell in 21st there, George.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the fun zone today is going to be 10th to 20th. That is the crunch zone. It's going to compress backwards. It's going to compress behind them as well. And it's going to be all to play for between P10 and P20. We've had an odd little scenario out here, John. I've just noticed Ashraf, and the number 14 McLaren, has got a drive-through for track limits. Now, that's not something that you often see on a formation lap. So something has gone rather wrong there in the opening strategy, not just for Ben Gilroy, but also for Ashraf, for whatever reason it is. That drive-through has been applied, and it looks like it's not going to be taken away as well. We've got a couple more. No, one more, sorry. Bucci there in the 44 Ferrari, also starting from the pit. So 3 drivers, often not the best start at Paul Ricard in the wet.
Yeah, we're actually taking even money bets on one of those 3 finishing on the podium. Because let's face it, it's wet. Get yourself out of the way of the early action. We do not endorse gambling in any way. If you are going to do it, gamble safely. And there are several websites that are available. Feel as to just say that. That was a joke that could be in slightly poor taste. My apologies. But yeah, please do gamble safely if that is something that you do partake in. But yeah, maybe strategically keeping themselves out of the way, because Paul Ricard, it's one of those tracks, it's very, very Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And what people then tend to do is spend a lot of time talking about why they love it and hate it, and don't spend a lot of time talking about the corners. Let's talk about turn 1, an off-camber chicane.
Yeah.
There we go. And people want to talk about Monza turn 1.
Yeah, this turn 1 here is so fascinating, and with the pit exit as well, it makes it quite tricky when you get people pitting midway through the race. But turn 1 is a tough one to navigate, because you're going then suddenly into turn 2. It's a really fast right-hander back over. It's off camber as well, so you get a lot of traction during that area too. Then into a really hard braking zone, into turn 3, 4 through Hotel, and it's not easy. There is not a lot of racetrack here. That's the key thing. You know, you've got Circuit of the Americas and a few other tracks where out of turn 1 you've got a little bit of space. It's an American track. It's got a nice wide space. You can fit 6 cars wide in some places there. Not the case here, John.
Yeah, most certainly not, and we're about to see how many cars we can fit through there. We've got almost a full complement at 39 on track. We've got green lights, we've got feet down, we're going flat out, flying into turn number 1, and it looks like the Ferrari might be getting tangled from the Lamborghini as it's defensive. Van der Steeg holds his line actually. Priadko looks for a way through as Ticehurst has gone defensive. Kasikteras takes 2nd place with a phenomenal start, and Hanowitz finds himself right out on the outside line there. Priadko up in position. When the Ferrari head is off track, we've got a bit of a wiggle from the green Ferrari. Solar Camps there, just having a bit of a moment on the exit at turn number 1. Keeps it nicely together though. Christoph Papai making up a position in the early exchanges. The Pro going past Lucas Ludka in the Pro-Ams in the background there. Oh, love to see it. 3 wide. Doga Siré involved in the action. Oh, there's going to be a bit of a concertina effect as they go 3 by 3 by 3. Even though Ozart didn't have this level of efficiency as they make their way through on the first lap. Oh, we've got the McLaren having a bit of a wiggle there. That was behind Glenn Choi. It was Ben Royal, I think it was. Oh, and the honoured racing driver, sorry, Ben Sullivan. And Chris Bell lost it. Oh, we've got cars off in the background. Sorry, yep. Did you see what happened there, George? That was the Mustang by the look of it.
I did indeed, yeah. It looks like Ben Royal's been turned around at that stage of the race, and yeah, he's just been tagged in the rear. They were all going about 4 wide out of camp, and that's not ideal into boom and onto the Mistral straight. We're on board now with Scott Ticehurst. You can see the spray already coming up from the back of the cars. It's always getting hard. Oh dear, there we go. Hanowitz has gone very, very wide at the end of the Mistral straight, and he's actually spun it as well, it looks like. No, it's not him. That's someone else.
That's Priadko. Priadko spun it as well.
Is...
He's come off the Mistral straight. Sorry, George. He's come off the Mistral straight and spun it. I think Luigi Calma's just made up multiple positions there. It is... Oh, the action's coming absolutely thick and fast in the opening exchanges, except right up on the front. But yeah, Hanowitz falling down the order. Oh, in fact, no, sorry. He's still held on to 4th position.
Yeah, he hasn't actually gone too bad for him. He's rejoined quite nicely, and Scott Ticehurst is the only car that's gotten up ahead of him, and he's right on his rear right now, so there should be an opportunity for him to get back past, and there we go. That's a spin. That's Scott that's McCutcheon as well. He is involved in that too.
Yes, indeed he is there. I'm not sure whether he got tagged. Just as I jumped on board, he was facing the wrong way. Multiple cars made contact with him then. That's McCutcheon now down to 24th position. Unsurprisingly, there's a lot to... Oh, they've made contact on the straight. They've made nose-to-tail contact on the straight. That's hopefully still on lap 1, so they get a massive slap on the wrist, because that is not the way to do it. And there we go. The off-camber turn 1 sends an unliveried McLaren spinning off into the shadow realm. Danny McCutcheon makes up another couple of positions while keeping a tail of the BMW, and is that Webber, I believe it is. Oh, heavy braking from the McLaren ahead. That's all going on, George. I've no idea. Danny McCutcheon back up to 22nd position. Oh, and the McLaren's got his Calma. He's not stayed calm at the end of lap number 1. He's tumbled down the order. The QRT is trying to go up the inside. Stop go 30 seconds for speeding in the pit lane.
We do not know where to look right now. Help indeed. Yeah, Karma has not had a calm lap. They've had a very, very stressful opening lap. It has all gone quite wrong, quite the other direction than they would have liked it to go. Konzek, though, he's having an okay time up the top. Fastest lap now with Scott Ticehurst in 4th place. Lanowitz has made it back up in front of the Lamborghini. Van der Steeg still holding on in P5, and then it's Declan Brogan sitting there in P6, Campson P7, Papai 8, Webber in P9, and Lalini in P10, followed by Ben Sullivan. But man, John, there was so much action to recount there. My highlights reel here has been completely filled up. I don't even know where to start bringing you a replay, but I'm going to try and bring you the opening corner if I possibly can in just a few moments' time.
Yeah, we'll go full screen on my race, and yeah, let me know if you do find anything. But yeah, lots to unpack there. As I say, the highlights, yeah, they're full. So we'll let George have a look and see if he can see what he can find. Oh, and that's Dogagieri coming under serious pressure from the Mercedes there as Coltrini finds himself up a couple of positions. Solar Cabs tumbled down. I was just about to say, he's had a great start to the race, but Solar Cabs is now dropping down the order. He is absolutely tumbled. What has gone on there? Adrian Hanneman's got a yellow flag as well. We've got more action as Coltrini tries to go up the inside of Dogagieri. He's now got the outside line on the exit to turn at number 1. He's going to make it stick in the rain. Where has he found that grip in the Mercedes? Absolutely dialed in the wet, and it's given Ray a Luke Sherlock-sized headache. Luke Sherlock himself had a fair old first lap headache. Oh, and Ray's lost it. He's completely lost it, and he's just lost 3 positions. That's 4 positions all in, and here comes Danny McCutcheon looking to take advantage of the Weber Pro-Am driver. Massive pile of cars in the back, and Ben Royal and Gilroy as well. Still involved in battle. Brogan Dyer, last to top 5 challenge. It could definitely be on the way things are going. I've still got absolutely no idea where I was looking a moment ago. Who was it that just crashed? Sorry, let me just have a look and see if it was this one. Oh, this is Priadko going up inside, so he was behind this battle as it was going on. We'll have a quick look. Yeah, BMW comes up the inside, beautiful amount of space left, and then they just make front to back wheel contact there, and he manages to hold that. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely stunning save there. Oh, no. That's not so good.
It's all gone wrong immediately. just as we were saying, I mean, he's on a bit of a fight back with McCutcheon, but that has gone all sorts of wrong immediately again. I did say the crunch zone, John, was going to be P10 to P20. It looks like that is definitely the case.
Absolutely up and down. Danny McCutcheon now down to 32nd position. It's incredible stuff. Ben Sullivan with another yellow flag. We've still got the drive-through to be served, but Ben Sullivan dropping down to 12th position as well, so he's just had an incident as well. It's as George was saying, people try and liken this to Monza. This is far more technical than Monza. Far more technical than Monza. Some of these corner complexes are extremely complex. They put the complex into complex. Yeah, even like I'm watching George's screen at the moment, some of the puddles that go across the braking zones are just absolutely ridiculous in some places, and it really does have an effect. But at the moment, it's definitely the tyres that are giving the drivers an absolute headache. 41 degrees on a damp track while it is raining. On a straight that will really struggle to dry when the traffic gets spread out, especially if they're weaving left to right to try and break what little slipstream they've got. Damien Konzig, no slipstream at all. Is he given away to Amir Kashiktrash in 2nd, Scott Ticehurst up into 3rd place with Van der Steeg in 4th, Declan Brogan in 5th, and Hanowitz in 6th position with Papai and Webber now ahead of Alessio Lollini for FSC Fusion, who is leading the way for the Pro-Ams. That is what I was looking for, of course, is to see where Solar Camps potentially had an issue. There's been so much happened that it's actually dropped off the bottom of the accident report board.
This is exactly the same problem that I'm having at the moment, John. It's just gone. It's completely gone. It's disappeared off our screens. Too much has happened. Although I will have to report that we have... it wasn't actually as bad on the first few corners as it looked initially. It was really after that where you had the individual fights starting to come through. Coltrini is now having a bit of a battle with Doveca just in the McLaren, just in behind, and it's going to go for an outside move. It's a tricky place to be doing it, but Hotel and Camp was definitely where it all started to kick off. Had a few people spun around onto the Mistral straight. That was into the rear. That is clumsy because that is the last corner, and that is just, you got to be aware that a door is going to be slammed royally in your face at that point if you are the car behind, and being opportunistic and braking late is never going to work out. Better to do it into the braking zone of turn 1 rather than the final corner of turn 13. And the Mercedes wants to get back into the action as soon as possible. Quick note here, John, the track now damp because of these hot conditions despite the rain still coming down. Looks like the rain has lightened up ever so slightly, so we're not in that heavy wet zone anymore. Oh dear, that's also not ideal there at all for the number 16. Coltrini now done the same as what was done to him, braking very, very late, and unfortunately gone into the car behind. And if you are in a train of 2 or 3 cars, you've got to account for the fact that there's 6 meters of extra braking zone that you need to take into account. Coltrini's actually got a drive-through limit now, drive-through penalty, I should say, 4-track limits, combining a few words there, John. That is a McLaren that's gone round as well. It's all still happening. No, that was Coltrini again. Biggest mover on the grid, John. Stuart Robinson up to P13, the Pro-Am driver. He is second in the Pro-Am category right now. 23 positions gained.
Wow. Talk about singing in the rain and keeping your head while others around you lose theirs. I was actually saying this last night when I was gaming with some friends. If your opponents are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. Let them continue. Oh, and yeah, I was just watching that from Chris Bell's point of view from QRT. I was trying to see, he got caught up in an incident there. I think it was the backwash of the incident going on ahead. Coltrini, Webber, Royal, all receiving drive-throughs from the stewards in the opening exchanges. Let me find the driver I'm looking for. Robinson, as you mentioned there. There we go, there's your Robinson there. Up to what, 23 positions, George. That's, I mean...
23.
Hats off.
Yep.
Oh, Lalini's bend it. Oh, Lalini's bend it, and he's spun again. He's going to have to hold his brakes. Oh, and he's trying to right it again, and he's being overly aggressive in the conditions. He's going to cook his tyres. It's 41-degree track temperature. The track is now going to go from damp to green momentarily because of the heat coming off the back of Lalini's tyres there. 16th position. You do not want to be the Pro-Am leader in this race, it would appear, George.
No, it does seem to be a bit of a cursed position right now. We're going to get another look and see what has gone on here. There's Coltrini in the number 16. This is the tap that we saw moments before. So a little tap there on the outside by the McLaren, but it's the Ferrari behind that we've got to be aware of here, and just doesn't. Coltrini's had to pull it up. The McLaren's pulled in front, and actually the Ferrari behind's had really nowhere to go. Braked in an appropriate time, so it was just a little bit of a lack of awareness there from, I guess, both Coltrini and the Ferrari behind. But Coltrini, it's all gone wrong. You're right. The blowtorch that is Lalini's tyres.
Sorry, George. This is the Lalini incident. So this is the Pro-Am leader into turn 1. Oh, and he just goes a
he's been tapped.
Yeah, he goes a bit too deep, can't control the pace, tries to completely follow the car ahead. Monkey see, monkey do. Maybe goes a bit wider than a Ferrari can go there compared to the BMW. Doesn't have the exit speed. And takes a gentle tap from the BMW. Oh, he's now finding himself presented with a position from Doveca. The wild card has just been overtaken by Triadco. So now Lalini and George. I'm guessing I'm going to use my never-ending psychic, my world-famous psychic abilities, and I'm going to guess that Stuart Robinson may be up for your driver of the day. Can we get an update on the Pro-Am race leader, please?
We certainly can. Look, right now, the man with the cleanest race out there is P1 for Pro category, and this man right here, P12. The number 68 Ford has been keeping it clean, and he's got a margin of space both behind him and in front of him. He's driving calmly. He's kept out of the action. Whether that's intentional or not, we'll find out at the end of the race, I suspect. But this man right here, he is having a cool, calm race. Exactly the opposite, the polar opposite to nearly everyone else on the grid. Now, of course, he does have Glenn Chu behind him. We know how fast that man is. So it's not necessarily going to be a smooth sailing run all the way to the end. But as those around him, Air Ray, our former race winner in round 1 for Pro-Am, gets a drive-through as well. John, I'm actually fascinated by these drive-throughs. I know that the conditions are not the most conducive to having grip and keeping it within the white lines, but to see this many at Paul Ricard of all tracks is actually very, very odd.
It certainly is very, very odd. Definitely in my experience, I find because there is so much runoff, drivers are much braver when they attempt overtakes. Because you don't have a Bathurst wall, you don't have a Brands Hatch patch of grass, yeah, you don't have these certain things. So I think a lot of the time it just magnifies, and it will take, I mean, it's going to take a couple of laps for the drivers to get into the rhythm with their tyres and actually explore that grip. And it looks like some of them are over exploring. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw multiple and there we see Dogac there just carried too much pace off the Mistral straight and cannot get the car stopped. Although we saw his back tyres fairly lit up, so too were Lellini's. We've actually had drivers, George, come in to take their mandatory stops. Mark Solar Camps has got to do 45 minutes in changeable conditions on 41-degree track temperature. So Champions drive on its way.
It certainly is. It's the fun zone. This is always what I call the fun zone. And I mean, you know, the McLarens here do typically light up their rear tyres. Even in the wet conditions, that is the case. And it looks like he was experiencing a lot of understeer in that car. It does not want to grip. The front one doesn't want to grip. Or Zach Scott gets run wide there. That's the door that I was saying always gets closed. The number 14 has still got 2 laps to serve the drive-through that he has picked up. That's 3 drive-throughs on the track. Ashraf will have his second drive-through now of the race. Got one on lap 0. Now he's had one here on lap 7. So not certainly ideal for Ashraf at all. And Zach Scott will be ruining that. The front of his car not looking particularly healthy either. Konzik has the fastest lap. It's a 2:06. Very respectable in these conditions. And oh dear, we've got stop go 30 for the number 14 for cutting.
So what's just happened then is Omar Ashraf has picked up further track limit violations while under the 3-lap
correct
drive-through. So he's got 3 laps to serve his drive-through. While the drive-through's hanging over his head, he has then breached track limits another 2 times, I believe it is, and that's what's given him a stop go 32nd. It might actually be 1, but I'm sure it is 2. So yeah, Ashraf picking up all kinds of records. I've never actually seen that. That is the fastest collection of drive-throughs I've ever seen in a race.
Yeah, likewise. And I think you're absolutely right. It is 2. You need at least 2 more track limit violations when you've got the drive-through, because you can have 1. And then if you are in a multi-driver race, you can send out your teammate after a drive-through. Well, you're coming for the drive-through, coming for the pits, you can send them out with another one immediately. But 2, yeah, so there's a lot of off-track action happening for Ashraf. Sounds like he's spent a significant portion of this race not on the track, or certainly across the white lines. Brogan Dyer, on the other hand, has yet to pick up a drive-through so far in this race. Currently running second in the wildcard entry in the Wild Things Ford. Very pink, very recognisable. We're going to go on board with the right-hand tyre of Ashraf and just see how he's handling these conditions. That is a car around, John.
That is indeed a car around. I was actually just jumping on to see if you had dry tyres on. But yeah, that is a car completely facing the wrong way. And it's Gasper Caramano, so the FSC, both Ferraris having a bit of a difficult time here. We saw his teammate go from the Pro-Am lead and tumble down the order. Oh, and the McLaren up the inside, another clumsy contact. You can see the dryer line in the middle. Neither driver fully on that part of the track, and yeah, the inevitable contact took place. We're seeing a flood of cars into the pits along with Andrew Priadko, long-time front runner in the pros. It's been a tough start to the season for him in season number 3. Back out in 31st position. We're on 19 minutes into this one. There's been an entire Grand Prix worth of action so far, and completely oblivious, but is soon about to have it thrust upon him, given how close the traffic is. In fact, oh no, sorry, yeah, he's not had to deal with traffic yet. He does have to deal with traffic very soon. Damien Konzig took fastest lap pole position and the race win in round number 1. And he's continued round number 2 in exactly the same vein. 2.6 seconds up the road from Amir Kasikras, who has an equilibrious 2.6 ahead of Scott Ticehurst up to 3rd place. Declan Brogan giving us 2 Lambos in the top 5 to battle with the 2 Ferraris in the top 5. Adrian Hanowitz in 5th position, and it is still pretty close. So it just goes to show you definitely can drive this track quickly and closely. You really do have to be very, very, very good to do so. As Christophe Papais just dropped a position there. He's been overtaken by Webber. He's lost grip. Oh, completely lost it there at turn number 8. Christophe Papais gets overtaken by Webber in the BMW. Brunstix is going to be closing in on that one as well. And Stuart Robinson now has Glenn Choi within a second. So yeah, George, as you predicted, I can't see Robinson putting up too much of a battle here, but yeah, Glenn Choi, no slouch, caught up in an early incident, but he's now catching up to the Pro-Am leader. I don't imagine that's going to be an elongated interaction. It's not really going to benefit either driver massively. Robinson, phenomenal number of positions in a Pro-Am race win. He's got at least one hand on that trophy at the end of the race.
He certainly does, yeah. I mean, just as we were saying, he's probably not going to fight it too much. He did intend to break the slipstream to Glenn Choi as well, so I do wonder if he's maybe thinking a little bit more about the overall positions, and rather he should be thinking about where he is in the Pro-Am category at the moment. He's leading, doesn't need a fight, doesn't need to make any silly decisions at this point, doesn't need to fight this position too hard, and we know that Glenn Choi is a safe pair of hands behind, so we don't expect to see any major incidents, although we did just see a rapid arrival of the Ferrari behind the Mustang. So Glenn Choi is going to be making a move. He's really close now. Onto the main straight they go. We shall see. I was going to say Hanowitz was sort of up and down the positions at the moment. 3rd, then Ticehurst got ahead of him. Brogan got ahead of him too. Brogan's another safe pair of hands. Has been getting rapidly faster throughout the seasons of the GT3 champs, and really impressive in that Lamborghini. Lamborghini in the wet here is very impressive. And I also want to call out a couple of things about our race leader. The McLarens here in these conditions are all struggling at the moment. Papais is in the pits, as he is wanting to get onto a fresh set of tyres as soon as possible. The fact that we have all the McLarens, oh, that's very close for Glenn Choi, all the McLarens struggling in these conditions, and I know I would too as a McLaren fan and driver. The fact that Konzig is so planted at the moment in that McLaren, the setup's correct, the tyres are in the perfect window, just shows that he has got the right... Oh, wow. Let me interrupt my train of thought there for what was a spectacular moment on track. Wow. Replay, please. Yes, thank you very much.
Well, watch this one from Forbidden Chase Cam. The problem with having Gerrard and Lampard in the midfield is they can both try and take over at the same time, and you're never quite sure which one should be leading the dance. If you know, you know. But yeah, certainly, hopefully we do catch all the sideways action from the Mustang in the rain.
Oh man, I'm so impressed with Glenn Choi there. I mean, that was a really opportunistic move. But he saw the gap, he saw the amount of space that he had, and it was down to the wire. He's actually gone back behind. So Oh no, now he's done it all wrong. He's done it all wrong as Glenn Choi, whatever's happened a few moments ago that he lost the position, some sort of red mist has descended on Glenn and he's got it all wrong there. Let's see. Oh, looks like he's made a mistake out of the Mistral straight, gone wide, and that means Robinson's come back on through. And then what is this braking zone? What is a braking zone here? I mean, that is just not good form there, unfortunately, mate. I've got to say that is not ideal at all. And Robinson now finds himself still in the Pro-Am lead, but losing a couple of positions and with rear diffuser damage as well. In this battle, I thought, hey, you know, don't need to battle it out too much. Well, it's getting a little bit spicy. It's heating up like the track is. Just to finish my quick thought there on Konzik at the front, now that he is catching traffic, he's at the back of the number 39 now. He is going to end up in a situation where he needs to make a decision about whether he's pitting early or getting past these blue flags. Not too much traffic in front of him right now, so he's got the opportunity to get past a couple of blue flags, but he will probably be thinking about where he's going to come out if he does, in fact, go into the pit lane and get his stop done. And right now, from my estimation, he would end up in traffic with traffic that is going to fight him for position. So he'll want to stay out. He'll either need to go into the pits immediately, or he will need to wait it out till well past when everyone else has gone into the pits.
Yeah, I'm just keenly watching the Mercedes there, beautifully blue flagged by Declan Brogan and Adrian Hanowitz. Another level. It's the level of 4D chess that goes on an actual racetrack. It doesn't matter how quick you are. You can be as fast as you want. If you don't have consistency in race IQ, you're done. And being able to interact with the traffic, knowing how and when to use them. Beautiful example there from Hanowitz and from Brogan. It'll be Van der Steeg. He'll be getting past quickly as well. The Mercedes pulls out of the way. The three of them will continue their battle fastidiously as Ticehurst in the Lambo is closing in on Kashikris. And again, these two got some traffic to deal with, and dealing with it very well at the moment as well. The QRT car slides on out of the way. Robinson is back behind Choi. Hopefully neither of them got any damage. It was a bit of an innocuous tap, but sometimes those are the bits you can take that little bit of carbon fibre off the front nose. Yeah. Aerodynamic instability ensues.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those parts aren't too expensive, but that's not the problem. It's the fact that your car suddenly does not want to turn in, does not want to brake as efficiently through the trail braking zones, and that is always the problem. Never fun to deal with. Number 14 is around, it looks like, at turn 3. It's had another issue, Ashraf. So not having a good day out in the number 14. That's my favourite number, Fernando Alonso's number as well. So to see a McLaren in the number 14 does not bode well for the next races that I've got to do. The 24 as well, another yellow flag. So this is getting towards the part where people need to start think about pitting. The tyres are going to be in a not particularly great state as it is right now. It does depend a lot on how their PSIs have been running. Brogan Dyer in the pits. Lillini is in the pits. That is Coltrini coming out of the pits now. They've done their work properly. And this is getting tricky now, John, for the top 6 even, because they're in a bit of a league of their own right now. If they pit, they might find themselves in a bit of a battle pack, but there's space now. As I understand it, there's space now, and I'd be thinking very hard and fast about whether to come into the pits. Let's have a look and see if Konzig is going to come into the pits. I think this could be the lap that he does it. No, it's not. He's going to go out again. So not happy with where that's going to land him, because he'd be landing where the number 40 is, Bruzhnik, in the number 40. So that's not an ideal place to come out of the pits. That is for sure. And as speeding in the pit lane, John, it's all starting to kick off again, mate.
It really is. Yeah, I was just on board with Luigi Calma, who one-time podium, about to highlight his drive-through. Lillini, one-time race leader for the Pro-Ams, finds himself with a stop-go 32nd for speeding during his mandatory pit stop. He's already down to 25th, and you don't need to have to be the most observant to see. He has quite a few cars right behind him. They're all going to be blue flagging past while he's carrying a stop-go 32nd penalty. So yeah, extra impetus to get himself very quickly out of the way so as not to interfere with the rest of the drivers. That's just going to slow down his overall pace as well. You can see there being as generous as he can, letting the other cars through, moves right out of the line. and that's going to be a lift, and that is, it just compounds the pain of that one, doesn't it, George? Because blue flag and carrying that penalty, under blue flag conditions you can maybe make an argument for staying in front for a few corners, but the position that Lellini's in, he's got to be getting, and he did, to be fair. I mean, he absolutely 100% shifted himself completely out of the way there. If he wasn't carrying that penalty, it's going to be a slightly different scenario, you would say. But yeah, it just compounds the issue there. Gets the stop go for speeding in the pit lane, and then gets caught up by a whole lot of traffic, which is going to add, what, 12 seconds to his lap here anyway. It is just absolute heartbreak at Ricard for Lellini and the FSC Fusion Squadra team, considering this car was leading at one point.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Obviously got the good pace out here today in the Ferrari, but yeah, as you said, very, very painful situation to be in. But I think, you know, hats off, respect there, because getting blue flagged through hotel and camp and onto the Mistral Straight is one of the nastiest places to be, especially when you're getting passed by a pack of cars, because you kind of got to duck and dodge and duck, dive and dip and weave in and out as much as you possibly can. That's exactly what Lellini did, and did it very well, I would have to say, because it's not an easy scenario. Plus you've got the frustration of having the stop go 30. So it's a real shame that the race has come apart, not only earlier in the race but also in the pit stop, the one place where you thought, well, maybe I can make up a little bit of time here, a good nice pit stop will do me well and everyone else will make mistakes. Oh no, I've sped in the pit lane, and now I've made the mistake, and now I've got to stop go 30. That is just adding salt into a wound as it is right now. So we shall see. But Juice Loon has been making some nice overtakes out there on track in the 37 Ford for Team Fluffy. And, the 37 now in the pits will get a new set of tyres on halfway into the race. So we are now just approaching half race distance. Still damp out there on track, 41 degrees Celsius. And that is the view. The window wiper is still solidly on as we head back. The view on board with our leader going down the Mistral Straight, trying to avoid giving anyone a tow, despite not being anywhere within the slipstream range. Might be trying to find a deeper puddle to sink those tyres in on the straight, the one place that you're safe to do so, just to keep the tyres under control. Oh, he's pushing it to the limit, is Konzik, and this is beautiful driving in the McLaren.
It really is an absolute masterclass. To be fair, Casillas and Ticehurst are not too far down. Casillas has only lost 0.3 of a second in the last 10 laps or so, 9 laps. So yeah, more than just about matching Konzik for pace. Sorry, not more than matching him for pace, because Konzik is 2.9 up the road. And oh yeah, you just hear that puddle there.
Yeah,
that one is an absolute certifiable nightmare, George. It is there as soon as the rain falls, and you know this as well. As soon as the rain falls at Paul Ricard, that puddle forms there, and it is right on the braking zone for so many cars, and it gives you such a headache and can cost you so much time as well as Konzik flies through. And Ticehurst comes into the pits. Konzik staying out past the half-hour mark, George.
Yeah, I think this was it was going to go one way or the other. It was either going to pit earlier and try and get himself into a gap, but the gap never really kind of evolved. He was going to be stuck in P6 down to P11, the battle that had been going on there. So I think this is actually the smart move here. He's clearly got the tyres in the right zone. That last lap at 2:03.2, still 0.2 faster than Casillas. So that gap is going to start to get a little bit larger as Casillas is getting a little bit worse for wears as well. Christophe Papai still going around the track. We've got another drive-through. That's Camps getting a drive-through, and we had another stop go 30 as well. That's Dovica in the wildcard entry for speeding in the pit lane, and Camps doesn't look like he's having a great time right now. And to your point earlier, that puddle at Latour, in fact, all the way really through there, you've got Bendor, you've got Garlaban and Latour. Those last 3 corners before the final braking zone into DuPont, they are absolutely treacherous in these conditions. The car will slide through there naturally in the dry. So you can just imagine what happens in the wet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in prime conditions, you still have to use the old Fast and the Furious cheat codes to get through there. Oh, Max Webber. I don't think Ben Royal's going to need... Oh, no, he is actually. Good exit by the BMW. I did mention before it was a bit of a curse being the Pro-Am leader. That's 2 cars that have been in the lead of the Pro-Ams that have received stop go 30-second penalties.
Yeah. It's I don't
almost
know
like
what
the
it is
England,
about that position.
England manager's job. It's an absolute poison chalice at the minute. It seems you just can do no right for doing wrong.
Yeah, sounds like being the chief of Ferrari racing at Formula 1 as well. You can't do anything right. Chief strategist, you know, you've been given some clown makeup by the opponent's teams, sending you regular updates on how bad you're doing. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just been one of those things so far. I mean, at least Robinson seems to have taken that poison chalice. Says, well, I've got an antidote, so I'm going to drop a few drops of that antidote into my water as I drink the poison. He's certainly doing well. He's actually just come in for his pit stop and has yet to get himself a penalty this race. That's looking very, very good for him. As it stands right now, LaRue will take the provisional lead, and we've got our leader now in. Konzik, and the 913 McLaren is in the pit stop, and he will get that done. I think he's spotted a little bit of a gap out there. I'm going to keep a close eye on this, John, because he's got to let this pack of cars 78 go through, and if he does get in the zone between the 103 and the 352, it's just blue flags ahead. That's what he's going to be hoping for. Kasatarash and Hanowitz also pull into the pits. Ben Sullivan too. And here's Konzik going out now. I'll keep a close eye on this as we watch Van der Steeg, who's now in P2 overall, with Declan Brogan leading the race at the moment. And it looks like, yep, Konzik has actually chosen the perfect moment to come out of the pits because he's ahead of the 352. No blue flag there. He's ahead of Scott Tysers. Exactly what he needs to do, but it's a lot closer than you might imagine, John. So Scott Tysers, who has done his pit stop, is right on the rear wing of Konzik. He's timed it to perfection, but you know, any later, and Scott Tysers would have done that undercut perfectly, and he would have been in the lead of this race.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, phenomenal drive by Tysers then. I did wonder, Konzig's pit stop did seem a bit long.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was 35.1 seconds stop, so 3 seconds slower.
Yeah, so and he was only 2.9 ahead of, wow, so he was only 2.9 ahead of Kasichteras, so actually I think the big surprise there is that Kasichteras, never mind, because we've got Scott Tysers going to take the lead of the race, provisional lead of the race, fastest driver on the track. Damien Konzik, he took pole position, he took race win in round number 1. He's going to take the inside line off the Mistral straight as Scott Tysers looks to put the Lamborghini round the outside. Is Konzik getting tangled so close between the two of them? Wing mirror babies will be born. They keep it between the Mayo and the Mustard as the head off. Still no contact between the two absolute aliens up at the front of the race, and Scott Tysers is going to squeeze his car out in front. He's got his nose in front. That is the absolute definition of an undercut as they go side by side. It's the McLaren now got their nose back in front. Tysers is going to have the inside line. They're going to be coming towards a puddle of death as the McLaren looks for the cut back in the wet. Oh no, he's just looking to hold back into the line. Phenomenal driving. And Scott Tysers, George, has just taken provisional lead of the race. And I mean, I just said you need to be a great all-rounder interacting with traffic. Getting your pit stop done, pretty important as well, and Scott Tysers reaping the rewards of a phenomenal stop.
Yep, I have one thing to say. Scott Tysers, well done, mate. That is absolutely brilliant work there. And what racecraft from both of these two. That is what we like to see in QRT. It's what we see often, and we have seen it today. Finally, at last, we've seen them fantastic side-by-side. That was so close through Signes and through Bousseau and into the final few corners. Absolutely stunning work. So Konzik, yes, he got the pit stop right. He was looking for that gap to come back out into, but the undercut has worked miracles here. And Scott Tysers in the Lamborghini, you know, the Lamborghini's good in the wet already. The McLaren takes a couple of laps to really get up into the zone. Don't count Konzik out just yet. It is going to come back his way in the next couple of laps, and he will be fighting Scott Tysers for that position again. But Tysers he's got the right situation, pitted a little bit earlier, got the undercut, got the clean air. He was in the position to do so because he was holding about 4 or 5 seconds back from the leader and Konzik at the time, so got himself into a gap and got a few really good laps in. That was key for Scott Tysers, and that's going to be working back in his advantage. But Konzik, here he comes. He's not, like I said, don't count him out. He's going to be fighting back for this position as those tyres get back into the window, John.
Yeah, you can see how much he's closed off the Mistral straight there. It is absolutely nose to tail between the two of them, and it's the McLaren that is advancing ever closer to the rear spoiler of Tysers tangoed livery. They've got 2 cars ahead of them, Broadsticks and Glenn, Choi, Kasichteras, Hanowitz back out the pits behind. Oh, and there's almost contact between the two of them. Completely different lines taken by the both of them. And if you ever did need proof eternal that George is the much better commentator than I, you'll notice that he has attempted to pronounce corner names during this race. I, on the other hand, have most definitely not, because I know better. Because George can't
I think that makes you,
and I can't.
I think that makes you the better commentator. I'm in dangerous waters here, man. I'm breaking late into a corner under wet conditions every time I try and pronounce a corner name here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this traffic is going to get interesting. Oh dear. That is. Whoa, that was very close. The blue flag traffic does get out of the way. One battle that you don't want to be involved in right now, John, as a blue flag, is going to be this one.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is absolutely lightening up. As you say, it did look like Konzig had popped his car out. Oh, and the track conditions are changing. The rain is going to reduce, and Adrian Hanowitz has just bagged himself a provisional 3 points with the fastest lap of the race. The plot thickens, my dear Watson. Kasikras still within, frustratingly for Kasikras, he's still within 2.9 seconds of Konzig, but he's in third position now. Provisionally, Choi and Brunswicks will have to come into the pits. Robinson still leading the way in the Pro-Ams, and the drivers down at the back of the grid still leading the way in penalties. We've seen another 3 pop through that have all been served. Some time penalties been added as well. So much like last week, any results will be provisional. As we see more penalties come in the race leader, miles off the track there, George.
Both of them, in fact. Yeah, the blue flags come through. I'm going to pull up a replay on that one because that was something unbelievable that has just happened there for us. So let's see if I can pull this up on a replay and see. Yeah, got it on right now if you want to jump over to me. So yep. Tysos goes through, Konzig goes through. There's a blue flag on the left and the right. But the McLaren has been on the inside line, doesn't get out of it at all and hits Scott Tyser, sends him extremely wide, gets hit again. Konzig also jumps wide too, but that's going to be damage on Scott Tyser's Lamborghini, certainly on the right-hand side of the car. Hasn't seemed to done him any worse for wear at the moment, but I think that could be a big signal in the way that this race between the two for the lead is going to end up going. That blue flag traffic, very difficult place to get out of the way, but needed to really back off and get completely out of the corner or go wide, decided to go on the inside corner and just mistimed it. Scott Tysos as well turned in and was aware, I think, of the traffic, but kind of got it a little bit wrong too on the turn and just could have taken a speed token, so to speak, on the outside line, but didn't end up doing so. Might be nursing the car home, may have a track limit or two to his name already, hard to tell at this point, but he seems to be rather unaffected by it, so I don't think it's going to come of anything at this stage, John.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking up and down the field as well. Glenn Choi's just taking his pit stop. There is another drive-through for track limits. This is one of these moments where the curse of the commentator inadvertently kicks in. We haven't seen any drive-throughs up in the top 10 so far in the race. You can absolutely hear those puddles.
It's so significant. I mean, they're trying to cool their tyres down now a little bit. Not the case for Konzig. He just wants to be in that slipstream right now. But I think the Lamborghini, because they pitted a little bit earlier and the conditions are getting slightly drier and less rain out there, those tyres are going to be falling out of a window, as well as the damage that he's held. Oh, it's going to be a close one. The track limits, I suspect Konzig picked up one for the previous lap when he ran very wide. And this is actually the thing, John. This is the thing that I think is going to be fascinating at the end of this race. We've got 18 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. We've got lighter rain all the way through now for the next 30 minutes, heading towards dry weather. Damp track at the moment. That's very close for Konzig. He is on the limit. He is pushing the car in places that it maybe shouldn't be pushed, but he's finding time out there. This is going to be great for the strategy. The temperatures are increasing, 42 degrees Celsius track temperature right now. That means the people who pitted later are going to be in a better situation throughout the remainder of this race. As Scott Tyser, having pitted earlier, and with the contact as well, it's the chips are sort of falling the way of Konzig more and more each lap that we go through, and drying conditions are going to make a big change at the end of this race, John.
Yeah, it really is. 1 hour race with a mandatory pit stops. All the same, you say? Aha. QRT said, hold my beer. Damien Konzig said, hold my lead. to Scott Ticehurst, and Ticehurst doesn't look like he wants to give it back any time soon. Adrian Hanowitz as well, tearing up the timing boards as the track does increase in temperature. He's within 4/10 of Kasiktas. He's just found 6/10 of a second through the previous sector, and they're only just about to get on to the Mistral Straight. I'm thinking we're about to see an overtake at the end here, as it is Ferrari v Ferrari, Kasiktas versus Hanowitz. And there is another drive-through penalty, and that's a fresh one right at the end of the lap. And look at this, not even halfway along the Mistral Straight, and it is Hanowitz who sails past. Pun intended, George.
And it's the same for the lead. This just happened. Konzik has done the exact same as what Hanowitz has done. Hanowitz has done it successfully. Looks like Konzik, though, got a bit wide. Scott Ticehurst repassed him on the inside. Hanowitz, nice move there for P3. That is excellent work there ahead of Kasatrash. So nicely done on the exit of Mistral Straight. Konzik tried the same, ran very, very deep, very, very wide. It went very, very wrong for him. Lost the position again. We're on the rear wing of Hanowitz right now, and the FRL car, I'm sure, will be trying his best to keep up with Hanowitz. But with Hanowitz obviously adjusting to the conditions perfectly at the moment, he's finding pace. That fastest lap at 2:06, and that is incredibly pacey. Konzik, on the other hand, for example, is best in this second stint of his, a 2:09. So Hanowitz is really showing the pace at the moment. I'd be surprised if Kasatrash has got the pace to keep up with him at this stage.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, Hanowitz absolutely lighting up those sector times as well. He is definitely man on fire. The team Shumi skins are going to be peeling off the side of the car with the pace he's got at the moment. It's going to be closing in on Konzik and Ticehurst, who, let's face it, are right on top of one another as well. Whatever Ticehurst can do, Konzik can do just as well. And at the moment, it's Hanowitz is doing it slightly better than them both. Kasiktas will, of course, be hoping to hang on to the Mistral Straight slipstream for at least a lap or two more. But as George has pointed out, Hanowitz really is flying at the moment, so it could be a bit of a tall order. I mean, even there, exactly when he needs to, just gets those two vital corner exits, and it's a completely different landscape. Despite the gap being almost identical as the previous lap with the two cars reversed, Hanowitz on his way through 4, 5 and 6 this time and on at the Mistral Straight. There's no way Kasiktas is getting back ahead, and there is another drive-through, and it's Christophe Papai. Top 10 driver picks up drive-through. Commentary team sacked.
Yeah, there we go. That is seems to happen every race, doesn't it? Just constantly on the verge of keeping our jobs or not. Nonetheless, yeah, Papai drive through there. Oh, it's going to be a move there for Kasatrash, and he's not going to get it done, though. Hanowitz had the outside line, had sort of what is considered more of the racing lines, a little bit more grip. Holds it round the outside and onto the exit. Nicely done. Good bit of defending there. Konzik had a look at the end of the Mistral Straight as well for P1, but Ticehurst recognised that he had the overlap still, moved back onto the racing line to cut off the nose of the McLaren. This battle is getting ever so closer because Ticehurst is not doing some... in fact, both Konzik and Ticehurst running slower than Hanowitz and Kasatrash right now. So the gap, which was 4 seconds, now 3.2, and looking to continue to drop further and further down. I get the feeling that if these two at the front do not stop fighting and don't find some pace soon enough, I think we'll find that Hanowitz is actually going to get in range of the top two right now. So it's very, very interesting, and with the changing conditions as well, we are in for a fantastic finish to 14 minutes remaining in this race. And blue flags going to be coming into play as well quite significantly, as there is a lot of traffic for them all to navigate now. A lot. We've just had the leaders go past 4 blue flagged cars who've gotten out of the way relatively well. Now it'll be Hanowitz and Kasatrash's turn in just a few moments, but they'll have the Mistral Straight to get it done. And hats off to Hanowitz for using the Mistral Straight correctly. You've got to make sure that launch out of St. Boom is used appropriately. Let's just put it that way. If you can focus on getting an exit, you're going to have better speed, better traction all the way down the straight, and that is what you need. Another blue flag being navigated there by Hanowitz. The gap does seem to have increased a little bit between him and Kasatrash. Love what we are seeing on track right now, and potential battle 4-way for the top spot.
race lead as well, George. We've got your screen full screen, and we've got myself in the bottom corner there. I'm just seeing the race lead, that battle up at the front. It's not going the same way as the Hanowitz Kashiktos battle is going by any means at all. And Konzek is still absolutely in the hunt here with 12.5 minutes left to go. These two have been inseparable. Scott Ticehurst has had a phenomenal race. He was pitted in from third position. And has got the monster undercut, got himself up to first place, as we can see in the side screen there. Hanowitz flashing his way past the traffic. It's all coming, as George just mentioned, as astutely as ever. The blue flags are going to play a huge part in this. We see Kashiktos losing ever so slightest bit of time, but across the start-finish line, it's still Ticehurst leading the way. We've got 12 minutes to go on a 2-minute and 9-second lap at the moment. Hanowitz within, wow, he's taken 9/10 over that last lap through the blue flag traffic.
Yeah, a couple of big factors coming into it. The blue flags, when the leaders reached it, there was at the Hotel in Ducamp. And unfortunately for them, that's going to cost them a lot of time, and it certainly did, especially with Hanowitz now absolutely flying out on track. So he got past the blue flag traffic at the perfect time, did Hanowitz, and these two still battling. Konzek's got good pace, and I think Ticehurst is just struggling a little bit at the moment because the Lamborghini will have good pace down the Mistral straight, but in the corners, with the damage that he's holding on the car, he is in a bit of struggle town. It's just that Konzek at the moment just hasn't really found a way past. He keeps catching in the Mistral straight, but is not able to really make his way past, and this is just letting Hanowitz just edge closer and closer. It's under 2 seconds, the gap now. And yes, he doesn't have a slipstream, so he won't be quite as quick as Konzek. And Konzek's going to try another move on the outside. Scott Ticehurst on the inside. Oh, it's going to go and be very, very close once again. It's clean once again. Konzek's going to run a little bit wide off the exit of the corner, so Scott Ticehurst does pull it back in just before the track limit warning gets applied. Another close one at the end of the Mistral straight. But all this is doing is letting Hanowitz get closer and closer. You can see the progress that he's made. Kasataraj is still holding on. The number 14 gets yet another drive-through in this race. I think that's the third or fourth that they've had so far in this race. And also, just a little update, Robinson still just hanging out. He is in the lead of Pro-Am. He's in P11, nearly in the top 10 because of Papai's drive-through penalty that he had to serve. He's got Chu to deal with as well, but Robinson still leading Pro-Am and doing very, very nicely. His next competitor is in P22, 11 positions behind him. So, let's see. 10 minutes on the clock, 42 degrees Celsius track temperature. The leaders, both of them struggling for pace at the moment, and Hanowitz with the fastest lap and rapidly approaching. The gap is now 1.5 seconds. Ticehurst has gone a little bit deep in turn one. There's a bit of contact from Konzek behind, does get backed out as well, but that's going to bring Hanowitz into this. This is going to be spicy. That sector 3 from Hanowitz is absolutely mega right now. That's where he's getting all the pace. He's got the grip, he's got the car in the right zone, and look at where he is now. He's right on the back of Konzek. This is going to be all said and done at the end of this straight, I think, John.
This is incredible. It's funny, as soon as you mentioned Robinson, and I was going to do a rundown of the Pro-Ams and apologise for the lack of camera time and give them a rundown. I'm going to have to just give them the apology and not give them the rundown. It is Robinson. Dugatsu Ray, though, definitely worth a shout, despite his penalties, on the podium in the Pro-Ams. Phenomenal recovery drive. What's just happened?
What's just happened? Oh, there's some invisible cars on your screen. I've got a different thing happening right now. No, that's actually Hanowitz suddenly dropped back for some reason.
He disconnected from the server ever so slightly. He's not disconnected from the race in any way, shape or form. Off the Mr. Straight, it's almost 3 wide at the turn 13. Furiously flashing the lights. He almost got tangled there. Konzek is in the lead. There must have been some kind of teleport going on there, but that is incredible, George. I'm not sure what I saw there. We got to see Cloud. Oh, he's gone up the inside. They've made contact, and twice they've made contact. And they're going to come towards the penalty. You can hear that Lamborghini absolutely screaming, and Scott Ticehurst through the puddles. He's been braver on the brake. They've made contact again. He's going to run deep. The Ferrari is up the inside. They're going to make contact once again into the final corner. Will it be a 5th time? Oh, and all this is happening. Damien Konzek is lapping. No, he's not. not a lapping as hard as Amir Kashikdarash is, because he now has 2 podium positions directly ahead of him as Konzik puts a blue flag driver. They're going to go 3 wide into the off-camber turn number 1 into a damp 42-degree track temperature, as always, of course, going to end well. And he's right at the car again. The Ferrari sent him the wrong way, right at him again, and it's a Ferrari Kashikdarash that's on the rear spoiler. Who do we talk about here? Is Konzik 2.3 seconds up the road to big winner, or is Amir Kashikdarash, who is looking down the barrel of 2 podium positions in the closing 7 seconds, so closing 7 minutes, the big winner in all this? George, give me your thoughts on what we've just seen.
Okay, right, well, let's go back to the start of this, because it all started with the Mistral straight. We had a teleport, don't know what's gone on there, no idea what's gone on, but Hanowitz suddenly lost a lot of pace on the straight for some reason or another, went back to about a second gap. Then Konzik got ahead of Scott Tysers at the end of the Mistral straight at Cygnus, right? Okay, that's where it all started, because Scott Tysers was slow out through Cygnus, and then moved under braking into Bousset, and I think that is what Hanowitz was so frustrated with. The red mist seemed to descend by both of them, a flash of the lights from Hanowitz, and then Scott Tysers and Hanowitz just went at it. And that was not fair play. They were both going at it. They were scraping elbows, scraping shields. Paint has been exchanged in a number of places on each car, and both of them were looking to sort of push each other wide, and it all sort of came together at the final corner of DuPont, where Scott Tysers just went, you know what, I'm just going to take the racing line. I don't care if there's a car there. That seemed to be the attitude for sure. Then it all went wrong once again at turn 1. Hanowitz did get the position. He's going to have the pace on Tysers, so he should pull away, but that is a 2.7 second gap to Konzik now. So all that battling has done is let Konzik get away with things. Oh, Robinson's got a drive through. No, mate, no. Scott Tysers is trying to make a move. He's done the same thing at DuPont, but he's given space this time. Hanowitz holds on to position. I don't even know where to finish on that, John, because it's not finished. It's not over. It's going to continue. Robinson, that is a disaster, but I think he still has the lead of Pro-Am if he does do this drive-through. Scott Tysers down the inside into turn 1. It's a bit of a dive. Doesn't give a lot of space on the exit, and that's fair enough, I think, for Hanowitz to cut that corner. He wasn't given any space at all, and a flash of lights from Tysers. These two are red mist, full anger mode, and Kassatrash, as you said before, John, rightly so, is sitting back and going, yep, go for it, chaps. I'm still here.
100% absolutely in the mix for the podium is Amir Kashikdarash, the FRL driver. It looked like he'd been completely outdone in the pit strategy. He was sitting 2.9 behind the race leader before he came into the pits, came back out in 5th. Oh, and the BMW's gone the wrong way. Tysers is going to automatically lose a position there because he's lost so much momentum on the longest part of the track. And Amir Kashikdarash is going to go past him like he is standing still. The Lamborghini is going to be lucky to get any slipstream advantage here at all, as Robinson comes in to serve that pit stop, and the blue flag BMW just gets sent the wrong way, and Tysers gets sent off the podium. Amir Kashikdarash back up to 3rd place, fast. I thought he was going to go for that there. I've never inhaled so much oxygen in my life.
yeah, we are holding with bated breath right now, because it's so risky, some of these maneuvers that are being pulled off. We do have a yellow flag for Robinson. I think that is his drive that he's serving at the moment. That number 4 was the BMW of Lutke, and so that was our 2nd place in Pro-Am that was spun around there. So it was just a little bit too early for Scott Tysers. I mean, the BMW had nowhere to go, and might have been better for them to try and pull to the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the track on the exit, but they're entitled to the space, entitled to the racing line. It is the responsibility of the car behind to make sure that the pass is efficient, and there was no let-up of the throttle either from Scott Tysers. Just went for it, held the foot to the floor, and around went the BMW. Scott's going to try and make a move back on Kassatrash, but the Ferrari braking into turn 1, unmatched, certainly by the Lamborghini. That is for sure. Ben Royal on your screens right now, number 23 down in P21 at the minute. And wow, I'm absolutely gobsmacked with what we've seen. Hanowitz, 3.6 seconds now behind Konzik. Konzik now released, and he is making the most of it.
Yeah, he really is. We've seen more drive-through penalties coming through. Gulubov picking up a penalty. Brogan Dyer in 12th position. Quick mention there. Lots of other drivers still out on track, which we can almost focus on at the minute. Tyser still within half a second of the podium. Hannah was 3.8 seconds to find in 3 minutes. He'd found almost 3 seconds by the time he caught up there. Dogaciere up to second place once again as Lucas Ludka was the driver caught up in that big incident. Finds himself now 23rd overall and in 3rd place. And Gasper Caramano, who definitely had a round to forget in round number 1, finds himself in 4th place. And with 2.5 minutes left to go, I wouldn't bet against some kind of divine intervention to get Caramano up onto the podium. His teammates both finding their way into the penalty books on several occasions with their track limits. LaRue, podium on the Pro-Ams in round number 1, outside at the top 10. Oh, these championships.
Yeah, that's right.
For anybody that doesn't know, quick recap. Season 2, final round. Top 2 Pro-Ams were on exactly the same points, and in the top 3 Pros were on exactly the same points. The final champion was won the Pros by 3 points. It's going to be the same this season again. You heard it here first, and you will hear it a lot for the remainder of the season, George.
Yeah, and I believe the last time we went to Paul Ricard in the QRT Sprint Series, we had it was a Silverstone, sorry. It's Silverstone. Last time we went to Silverstone, we had a 6-way battle for the lead of the race for, I think, most of the second half of the race as well. So the racing is just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. That's Glenn Chu. He's gone round. That's not ideal for him at all. Going to get a little replay and see exactly what's happened. I suspect that is through Signes on Busso. It might be on Busso. Yeah, here we go. It is indeed. Ferrari rear end gives up. And, touches the blue. Yeah, there we go. That's unfortunately rather predictable when that happens. You have to back out of the throttle massively in that section, but the car's inertia is already there and takes you for a bit of a spinneroo, unfortunately. So not ideal for Glenn Chu, but he's still there in P11, so still not a bad place to be. Scott Tysos is sort of falling a little bit back from the battle, so the podium position is falling away from him. This is going to be, I think we're going to get maybe one more lap in here, John. I get the feeling. We shall see. Leader is on the final lap. There we go. It is the last lap then for Konzik. Doesn't hold the fastest lap in this race, but he will get the win. So not the trifecta he had in round 1, but he will get 2 out of 3 this time round.
Yeah. And you know what they say? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And I'm sure Konzik will be more happy given the conditions and the action that we've seen. I mean, the track conditions have been absolutely joyful as far as spectators go. It's just amazing to me how polarising this racetrack is. So many people hate it, but the action that this track brings is never ending right through the field. There is so much still to talk about. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Christopher Pyer, Danny McCutcheon, 16th and 17th with 10-second penalties. But Damien Konzik for Damco, number 913, crosses the line and takes the checkered flag with a 3.9 second gap over Adrian, fastest driver in round 2. Hannah was Amir Kasikdarash finishing on the podium ahead of Scott Tysers in 4th place, and it is going to be this week's driver of the race that's going to win in the Pro-Ams with Stuart Robinson. George doing a phenomenal. Yes. He fell foul of the penalties as well, but so too did Dogaciere, who finished on the podium. But Robinson, phenomenal drive from him to bring home the Pro-Am win.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Robinson, he's kept it clean for the most part. Yes, he picked up that drive-through, but the others in his category were just too far behind. Who didn't? Yeah, I don't think there was many people at all that didn't have either an accident or an incident or something that's gone on throughout this race, and that is the nature of racing at Paul Ricard. It just is. It's just one of those tracks where you're so lacking on grip. It's not about how fast you are at a circuit like this. It's about consistency. It's about how well you feel the car and the traction that you have to the tarmac underneath you. And it all comes down to that adaptability and the consistency. And some have shown it today, some have not. But that is the way of racing at Paul Ricard. It really accentuates the differences in a lot of drivers as well, behavior-wise, racecraft-wise. It is beautiful place to go racing, in my opinion. And do I like driving here? No. But I also realize that the racing that happens around me is absolutely stunning, and I love to watch it. So what a round. I also want to call out number 40. That's Nick Bruchniks, up 14 positions, 14 to P7. Well done. Juiced Loon up 11 positions from 20th to P9 in the top 10. And Brogan Dyer, who started at the back, he was going from a last of sort of top 5 positions. Didn't quite achieve that today, but still up 21 positions in this race to P12. And Stuart Robinson takes the crown for that. 22 positions gained throughout the race and a Pro-Am victory. Wow. You might take a quick guess at who my driver of the day is today.
That is a tough one. Yeah, theologians will ponder this question for centuries, I'm sure. Let me just grab this replay. But yeah, Robinson, it's not even a contest. He, takes driver of the day straight off the bat. Let's just make that very, very clear. Phenomenal drive. And let's not take away, though, from the drivers up at the front. They treated us to an absolute battle royale, quite literally at some points, and has given us another fascinating collection of points to add to the tallies. Robinson, Array and Ludke finishing on the podium in the Pro-Ams. Konzig, Hanowitz and Kasikteras taking podium honours in the Pros. Ticehurst did finish in 4th. Brogan Dyer, as George mentioned, made it up to 12th place. Not too bad as the lead wildcard. And of course, as I mentioned, Robinson and Array both picking up penalties, but both making it back onto the podium. If you don't love QRT racing, then I'm not sure you enjoy racing. I'm going to be honest. There's something... there's something missing. Paul Ricard, we might not like driving here, but my goodness gracious me, do we enjoy watching the racing here, George. Monza and Paul Ricard under our belts, and Season 3 really just galloping along the way Season 1 and 2 ended.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the points are important, of course, but there's 2 drop rounds in the season, which is a new change from Season 2 as well. Both seasons are going to have 2 drop rounds, and we saw what that created in Season 2. It was so close on that last race. We had 3 calculators out trying to figure out what was going on everywhere, and we thought we got it, and we did just get it 90%, I'm going to call it. But we're going to go to Zolder next week for round 3, so it's another one of those tight circuits where the action does tend to happen. Then Zandvoort for round 4. I mean, this is why I love the calendar that they've got this season. This is a brilliant calendar. Monza, Paul Ricard, Zolder. What a way to start off the first half of the season. Absolutely stunning, and some great drives out there today. Hanowitz getting up 1 position. His race went from okay to great in the second half. That second stint for Hanowitz was absolutely brilliant. And of course, commiserations to Kaseterash, because he went from P2 down to P3, so did lose a position overall, but to get back up into the top 3 was a really good bit of driving overall. It was just nice and patient at the end there. That's what you've got to do when you've got 2 cars ahead of you that are battling. I do want to give some commiserations to Scott Ticehurst, because he did actually do very, very well throughout the race. And that pit stop strategy, getting into the pits early, getting a fresh set of tyres, and then setting those undercut laps, that was really, really brilliant. That was a flash of genius there from Scott Ticehurst. He really made his race happen because of that pit stop. It's just a shame that it all came a little bit undone when the blue flag traffic in Cygnus just kind of got in his way, and he ended up with a bit of collision, held damage all the way through, was still fighting for the lead, and then it all got a bit spicy with Hanowitz, as Hanowitz caught right up the back of those 2. So what a fascinating race. There's so much to digest, and that's only, John, talking about the top 5. There's still another 27 drivers on the grid that we could talk about. There's been battles everywhere. So hats off, commiserations to those that didn't have a great result, but congratulations to everyone who had a fantastic race out there today in round 2.
Yeah, massive congratulations to anyone that made it to the end of that one. Let's say Paul Ricard, just it really is the track that keeps on giving.
Yep.
But yeah, as George said, plenty of. We're going to leave you with the highlights as always. Plenty to watch come the end of the show, so make sure you got your popcorn out with your feet up and ready to enjoy those. George and I will be back next week, as he has met an absolute calendar of the gods. And next time out it will be Zolder, same time, same place next week, so make sure you tune in for that one. Thank you to anyone that has followed the channel this evening. Notifications still don't seem to be quite working at my end, so apologies if I have missed anyone, but thanks to everyone that's tuned in. Brogan was in the chat as well during the race, and of course biggest thanks to the main man himself, the wonder from down under, and I'm sure can't wait for next week, Mr. George Cook.
Always a pleasure, John. Thank you again. Thank you to all the drivers and the admins in the background. I'm so keen for more QRT GT3 Championship action next week. See you then.
Ironically, that did sound so much like So King as we are dealing with the wet track, but it is. With terrible dad jokes and puns left by the wayside, like most of the rubber after the 42-degree track temperature, we are out of here. So until the same time next week, it is a good night from George.
Good night.
And it is a good night from me. Stay safe, take it easy, and have a great rest of your night. Good night.